This was fantasy goodness. Big Ben, 273, 3 touchdowns. Deontay Johnson, over 100 yards and a touchdown. Justin Herbert, between the passing and the rushing, almost 500 yards of total offense, 3 touchdowns. Austin Eckler, how about 4 touchdowns? 2 if by air, 2 if by leg. And Mike Williams, 97 yards, that huge touchdown late. And Keenan Allen says, don't forget about me, 9 grabs, $112. Oh, yeah. Welcome in HQ, presented by Honda. Determination powers us and everything we do here at HQ. All right, Jonathan Jones, I'm Eric Casillas. What a wild, terrific game. The Chargers seemed to have it all night, then lost it, then won it again. What's your headline from this game?
Well, they almost chargered, didn't they? They almost did the chargering. We thought that they had gotten rid of that, but no, they have not. My headline from the night is most certainly Justin Herbert, who is an absolute bona fide superstar. If we didn't know it last year, if we didn't know it through the first half of this season, certainly tonight on Sunday Night Football, there in SoFi Stadium, a stadium where, was it a home game? Was it a road game with the atmosphere, with the Steelers fans who traveled? That he was able, and it wasn't throw for throw for Ben Roethlisberger, with Ben Roethlisberger, he was making every throw that he needed to. He was making every run that he needed to. On the 4th and 1 there, where he had to turn around, hand the football off to Austin Eckler in the backfield, he should have just snuck it. Of course, I don't know if he had that opportunity or not, but to find Mike Williams, understand the busted coverage right there, and to hit Mike Williams for the game-winning touchdown. Mike Williams that he had been struggling to connect with as the Chargers sort of dipped the last 2 or 3 weeks. It all came together for the Chargers, for Justin Herbert, an all-star, Pro Bowl, probably all-pro quarterback here in the next couple of years. That's a high designation, a designation that not many guys get. I think that Justin Herbert is well on that trajectory. We saw the reason for it tonight.
I think you're right. I think it's the Chargers choke it away again. Almost. Right? This is the way that they had lost games for years, and this time it didn't happen. And against the Steelers, who win these types of games.
That's right.
They always do. They always win these kind of games, and they didn't. And it felt like kind of a culture shift for the Chargers, just another step in the right direction. Meanwhile, for Pittsburgh, look, they have the toughest schedule remaining. It's brutal. They come off a tie with Detroit and now a dagger loss here. This, to me, was a team that's a little better than I thought they'd be, but still maybe not good enough. Where weren't they good enough tonight?
You know, you look at their record right now at 5-4-1. You come off of this loss, and you want to be able to look at it in a vacuum and like, well, they struggled with Detroit, but they didn't have Ben Roethlisberger. And, well, they lost tonight, but they went tit for tat with the L.A. Chargers. Moral victories aren't doing anything for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were not supposed to tie last week to the Detroit Lions, no matter who was starting at quarterback. They felt, certainly with the second half, with the fourth quarter that they had, really with the entire game that they had tonight. EK, when you look at their possessions, they were down inside of the Chargers 27 on all but 2 possessions. That they got down there. And then you look at this remaining schedule, and so I talk about the Lions. That should have been a win. It was only a half win. The loss to the Chargers, they're going to look at this and say, man, you know what? We really should have had that one. They're going to bemoan the September that they had. But you look at this schedule coming up. Are they going to have enough? Are there 5 wins right there? That 10.5 in the AFC is going to get you in.
No.
Because I think they have to have 10.5. It's not going to be 9.5. They have to have 10.5 to get, and that half's going to be important.
The half's a tie, is what you're saying.
The half is a tie, however, they want that half to be a win. And when you look back on this season, a lot of times when teams tie, they say, well, at least we got that half win by virtue of the tie. That was to the Detroit Lions, who otherwise might go 0-17 this season. That's going to be huge for them. I don't see 5 more wins on their schedule.
Look, the home games left are Baltimore, Tennessee, and Cleveland. No gimmies there. No. The road games, at Cincy, at Minnesota, at the Kansas City Chiefs, at Baltimore. No gimmies there. I mean, there's not one game on the schedule where you go, okay, I feel like they're at least 60-40 to win that game. Not one.
Right.
And you're telling me they got to go 5-2 out of those 7? That might be too big of an ask. I will say this, though. Ben Roethlisberger, who I think a lot of people threw a lot of dirt on his career, and sort of had the epitaph written that he was done last year. He only came back for the check or whatever. What did you make of his performance tonight? I mean, the Steelers had 27 points in the fourth quarter alone. Now, some of those on a block punt, they got it inside the 5, they got some gifts, but ultimately, Roethlisberger did put enough points on the board tonight, no?
Yeah, a lot of folks were shoveling dirt on him. It just so happened that he decided to lie down beside the dirt, and there happened to be a shovel right there that he welcomed people to shovel on through his play last year. I think that the time off, based on the results tonight, how great that he looked and how different he looked from the past couple of weeks, I think the time off really helped him and his body heal up. We know that Ben Roethlisberger is a mainstay on the injury report. It's incredible what he is doing now, 17 years into his NFL career, all the hits that he's taken, we all know and understand it. And so I think that, having last week off and being able to not really do any work this week did very well for the body for Ben Roethlisberger. And so, yes, that was good for him. The Pittsburgh Steelers, though, remember, they didn't want to run earlier in the season. They never wanted to run last year. It seemed like they were starting to do the same thing at the beginning of this year. Then they got into a groove with Najee Harris. Well, Najee Harris only had 12 carries for 39 yards. I know he went out late in the game, but that's not the sort of production that you want to see out of your first-round back. You should have been able to get him the football more. They let Ben Roethlisberger throw 44 times. He had a couple more dropbacks where there were sacks involved. And so nearly 50 times they passed the ball tonight. There has to be more balance. I feel like I'm a broken record talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers the last year and a half. They have to have more balance. At the end of the game, they were in the game. It was a very tight game. But I think when you look back at the game script, you want a little more balance.
If I'm looking at it and I'm trying to just flush it out, and I'd say, okay, last week we gave up 200-plus rushing yards to the Detroit Lions. We gave up 41 points to the Chargers, and we were ahead with basically 2 minutes to go, and they had to come the whole field, and we gave up a huge play and a touchdown to Mike Williams. The reason why we are where we are is the defense has come up small the last 2 weeks.
And they were without T.J. Watt, and they were without Minkah Fitzpatrick, and they were without Joe Hayden. Those are three names. Those are three real big dudes.
And I know as much as we want to say it's a next man up league and there's no excuses and all that other stuff, at some point there's an injury and there's clusters of guys out and good players out that it affects your defense and maybe a blown coverage and maybe your ability to get off the field and third down. Is that what we saw tonight?
That's absolutely what we saw tonight. We're seeing fantastic parity in the NFL. We're seeing a Chargers team that is ready and prepared for prime time, finally, that they aren't going to give the game away, though they tried. And we're seeing a Pittsburgh Steelers team that had a good and healthy Ben Roethlisberger, that have one of the best head coaches in the NFL, that had enough to get the win, except if this game were just 58 minutes and some seconds, they would have won the game. Instead, they had to play the final 2+ minutes, and that was the loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers without 3 of their all-star players on defense.
All right, well done. That's how it broke down. From Los Angeles, the home team, kind of, sort of, in name only, got it done over the Steelers with a big play with about 2 minutes to go. And as a result, here's your playoff picture following Sunday. The Titans lost to the Texans, and they're still the #1 seed. Ravens, they get it done without Lamar Jackson. Surprise. Patriots are now leading the division, not the Bills. Surprise. And I guess a couple of weeks ago, you thought the Chiefs, they're going to be lucky just to make the playoffs, and now they lead their division. Surprise. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Chargers, and the Bills currently are playoff teams, and you see the teams just on the outside in, including the Colts, who walked up to Buffalo today and smacked around the Bills. So if that ever became a tiebreak situation, they would have the tiebreak head-to-head over Buffalo.